You're probably wondering what in the world is all over this car. Well, we clayed it. We clayed the entire car. So that's detail spray and clay. We went ahead and finished the entire car, the windows, all the paint, the headlights, and the lenses. So before I start polishing on this car, I want to make sure that you treat all of your vinyl, your rubber, your plastic, and anything that gets very close to where you'd be polishing first with our vinyl rubber and tire dressing before you start polishing the car. We have another video in this series that covers the vinyl rubber and tire and doing all the trim. So make sure you see that or do that before you polish the car. Now, paint correction is easily the most asked about part of detailing your car. People want to know, how do I get rid of those swirl marks? How do I get rid of those little surface scratches? Well, using a machine to remove them is what it's going to take. You can minimize them by hand, but to remove the kind of swirl marks that you're looking at right now on your screen, you're definitely going to need a machine polisher. Now, whether you're using our Cyclo polisher or you're using a different kind of polisher, we have the pads that you would use for any polisher and the polish. So the system, regardless of what machine you're using, we have the system to work with it. Now, what we like to use and what we offer is the Cyclo polisher. Our Cyclo polisher is slightly different than the others that are store-bought or otherwise purchased. Ours have special polypropylene heads. Ours also have a 15-foot long cord. Ours have a nice big red handle and a soft rubber grip. The Cyclo has twin oscillating heads. This is a really awesome machine. One of the neatest things about it is that it's made entirely in Colorado. It's a USA-made machine. In fact, at this point of this video, it's the only machine made in the USA. So, when I go to start using the polisher, the first pads that I'm going to grab are going to be the orange pads. Now, our system is pretty easy to follow. We have pads and polishes that are all color coordinated. So you can't get lost. And if you are lost, you might be a little colorblind. So the orange polish, it's our paint correcting polish. The orange pads, those are our paint correcting pads. These foam pads and these microfiber pads were made specifically to be used with our paint correcting polish. So we're going to start with the orange pads. I know that this car is going to need the most aggressive orange pad we have. That happens to be our orange microfiber pads. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mount my microfiber pads directly to the backing plates. What you're going to notice about this, everyone always wonders as soon as they see this polisher, you're going to leave a little strip down the middle of the car that I don't get. Not true. Why? Because these pads actually touch each other during their oscillations. So you see that? They're actually going to touch. You're not going to miss a thing. So we're going to start with our orange microfiber cutting pads and our orange paint correcting polish. Now when I go to apply the polish to the pads, all right, I have roughly 2 X's on the pads. Now, I'm going to put the polisher first, cord over the shoulder. I'm going to rub the polish in, spread it out a little bit before turning on the machine. I don't want to throw polish everywhere by just turning it right on. Now, I've spread the polish out a little bit so I know it's not going to sling the second I turn on the machine. Now, I'm going to start at setting number 5. Okay? Now, I know that this is one of the most swirled up, scratched parts of the whole car. So I'm going to use this little area right here as my test area. I want to figure out what it takes to get this little area perfect, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the car. If you're in any way a newbie to machine polishing, this is the unit to start with. This is the safest polisher in the industry, period. You can't hurt your car with it unless you invert the polisher, whoops, drop it on the car. There's no way you can hurt it. So. Now, you can see that I've broken the polish all the way down. That means I've gotten all the abrasives worked completely down and the polish has flashed. What's flashed mean? Flashing is when the polish kind of looks like it's turned into Vaseline, okay? It looks like it's a big smeary mess now. It's no longer any polish standing on the car at all. So I've worked it all the way down. Okay, now we're going to pull off the microfiber pads. I'm going to set them aside and I'm going to move on to the orange foam pads. Our orange foam pads are the second step of our paint correcting polish. So, I know that I've got some serious scratch marks and some serious correction to do on this. So if your car does not have a lot of issues and a lot of scratches, I would have gone from the orange to the white and been done. This is a little more thrashed, a lot of duster, a lot of scratches. So once again, orange polishing foam pads and our orange paint correcting polish. Okay, you don't want to use too much polish on the foam pads. In fact, you're going to use less, about half as much polish on the foam than you will with the microfiber pads. One more tip that I like to do, if you're polishing on a car that's warm, if it's hot out, if it's middle of summer, use a little bit more detail spray to prime the pads. If it's relatively cool, a little bit of polish on the pads will make the polish go a long way. And now, just like I did before, I'm going to go ahead and rub the polish in a little bit before turning on the machine. Okay, now using the Cyclo, I'm going to go ahead and leave it pretty much on full speed on setting 6. I'm going to do that all the way through the paint correcting process, and then I won't even adjust it at all until we get into adding a glaze or brilliant glaze, applying a wax, or applying a liquid sealant. So the key, the most important key to paint correction is going extremely slow across the panel with the polisher. You're gonna notice I'm generating zero heat. I'm not worried about burning it. Okay, the Cyclo is so safe. Our pads are so safe. The polish is so safe. So burning it's not gonna be the problem. The problem is you're not gonna get the results you want because you don't spend enough time going across the panel, or you don't apply enough pressure to the head. Now, here's the head of the machine, okay? If I'm really trying to work a little bit more significant scratch out and I'm not getting any luck the first pass with the orange microfiber or the second pass with the orange foam pad, I might take a little bit more time, and instead of applying zero pressure to this head, I might just put, say, 5 pounds of pressure on the machine. It's amazing what just a little bit more pressure on the head of the machine can achieve. Once again, the polish is flashed, so I'm done. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull the orange pads off now. And now, I just wanna see, how the progress is. So before I move on to the next pad and make my decision on which pad I'm gonna use next, I'm gonna use a double soft towel. And I just wanna knock a little bit of residue off. Wow, that was good. Not too shabby. Wow. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. I see a few little scratches here that I wasn't able to knock out with that. I might need to come back and get those with a drill later. So remember, I'm probably not going to remove all of the scratches with a polisher. Some scratches will be too deep. So there's a segment in this series about removing serious scratches with a cordless drill and little 4-inch pads on a little tiny backing plate. See that segment to see how to remove those. But you want to machine polish the whole car first before you go and use the drill, because you don't know what's going to come out or not using the polisher. So at this point, I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. We've gotten way more than 95% of all the damage out. Take a look at this finish now and you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so now we're done with the orange pads and we're going to go ahead and move on to the white pads, starting with the white paint finishing pads. Okay, these are the microfiber paint finishing pads. Okay, I'm going to stick them on real well, and I'm going to use that, of course, with the paint finishing polish. Since I still have a little tiny bit more correction to do, I'm going to use these. If I was done and my correction was perfect and I was totally 100% happy, I would go straight to the foam pads. So, paint finishing polish. All right. Okay, as before, I'm also going to rub this polish around a little bit to make sure that I spread it out before turning on the machine so I don't sling polish anywhere. And now, still at setting 6. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull the pad conditioning brush out, fluff up the microfiber polishing pads so that they're ready to go again. All right, now removing the white microfiber pads and moving on to the white foam paint finishing pads. Remember, you don't use all of these pads unless you've got a car that needs a lot of correction. Okay, pushing those on nice and well. So, I've got the paint finishing polish foam pads now on the machine, and I'm going to put a little bit of the paint finishing polish on the pads. Cool. And as I always do, I want to rub this around a little bit. Whoa. Let's give those pads a little prime. A little detail spray. That'll make the polish go about twice as far. All right, now we're going to see how well we did. Removing both of the white paint finishing pads, set the cyclo down, grab my first class ultra premium towel, and then I'm going to gently remove this residue just to see, have I achieved perfection? You know, this looks fantastic. It really does. This is the depth and the clarity that I was looking for. Now I know exactly what this car will need to finish. So, a recap on this car. I definitely needed the orange microfiber pads in the paint correcting polish. No question. The scratches on this were pretty serious, so we started with that. Then we went on to the orange foam pads, okay? There was enough damage that we really want to make sure we're going 2 rounds of paint correcting polish. Then, just because there were a few lingering scratches, we went ahead and did the white microfiber polishing pads and the paint finishing polish. And to finish it, like I always finish, I always finish with the white foam pads. When you're paint correcting, this pad is how you get it to looking like it's dripping wet brand new paint. So this white paint finishing pad and the paint finishing polish, that's how you get this. So now we decide, are we gonna glaze it, wax it, or seal it? I'll go into that next.